Hi everybody, welcome back to the Sew Making It Up channel. I'm Jane.
And I'm Ashley.
And we've been away for a bit, haven't we? And the time has just flown by. So sorry about that, but we've been busy. We've had to do our day job and it's been taking up quite a lot of time. However, we have got, I think, quite a bit to show you today. So shall I kick off? You ready if I kick off?
Yeah, why not?
Right, let's start with what I'm wearing. So I cannot remember how I found out about this designer. I think it was watching somebody else's YouTube, so I'm really sorry that I can't remember who it was. But I think somebody mentioned Itch to Stitch. I never heard of those patterns before, but I always quite like finding new patterns and get some new inspiration. So me being me, I went for it like big time. So I've made quite a few Itch to Stitch things.
That doesn't sound like you going obsessive over it.
No, getting obsessed, never. So I'll stand up in a minute, but I'll show you on the pattern first. So this is the first one. So this is, she's made it out of a cotton jersey and you can kind of see the nice pleats here. The reason why I'm pointing that out, doesn't look like that on mine, because I've made mine in a, and I'm going to do, Ashley loves this, and the colour's really rubbish, isn't it? There we go, no, that's better. So I've made mine from a, this is quite a lightweight viscose jersey. So it's got a nice drape, but it hasn't got a lot of structure. So mine looks a bit different, and I apologise, the light, because it's really dark outside. The light is not brilliant in this room. So I'm going to stand up and hopefully, does that make it better or not?
No, it looks really nice, and I think I've seen you in it when we met a couple of weeks ago for a walk, and the colour, you're right, the colour, it doesn't do it justice, the colour on the screen.
And it's probably the most unflattering angle on my face ever. So I'm going to try and keep my head out of the way. I'm like 67 chins. So yeah, I don't think you can see the detail. So what I might do is sit down again. So there's some nice detail bits on here, and because you can't see it on here, I'll show you the packet. So obviously there's the pleats here, but underneath this side, there's also pleating. So what that does is kind of cinch you in a little bit. It kind of wraps over here, but the length is quite nice as well. It's got tight fitting sleeves, which is okay. But at the back, which you can't really see from there, it's kind of raised up. So it really hugs your back, which means that it's raised up here and hugs around your neck. Now, I have tried and failed, just tuck this in properly, quite a few wrap tops and dresses, mainly because I've got quite a small chest. And there we go. And they always seem to sort of sit over or under, and if you move at all, it gapes, and I don't like that. So I quite like the fact that this is quite high, and you can lean over and pretty much do anything, and you're not going to expose yourself.
I think that's a thing with wrap top and wrap dresses, because I've got quite a few of them, and I find that to get one, I mean, I haven't ever made any before, but I've got some that I bought from places like Hobbs and Jigsaw from years. You know, I've had different type of ones because I do like the idea of it. But I always find that it gapes. And I think if you're sitting at work as well in a meeting, you're constantly like fiddling around with it, making sure you're not exposing yourself. Exactly. And I used to in the end up getting like a tiny safety pin and even safety pinning it because I got so paranoid about it. So I think that is really nice. I hadn't noticed that it's so high.
Yes. And it doesn't move. I mean, you can sort of, the reason why I'm fiddling with it at the minute, because this is so lightweight, this bit tucks over, and because it's lightweight, it tends to unfold. It doesn't matter because you can't really see it, but I think if you make it in the cotton jersey, it will sit and stay more. But even if this sort of unfolds itself, it never gapes. So I actually think that this would be nice to make into a dress, exactly as you said, because you're never going to worry about it moving. I think the style as well is good because you can dress it up, you can dress it down. This would be nice. I mean, I've just got mine on jeans, but it'd be nice in sort of a stretch velour or something if you wanted to do evening wear, something like that. So really versatile. The only thing I would say with the itch to stitch patterns are, watch out for the seam allowance. It took me a while, I don't know why, to find which seam allowance, where it was on the instructions. And it's not a consistent 2.5 centimetre. I think this lady is in the States. So for stretch things, she has a centimetre seam allowance. For other things, she has just under, I don't know if I said 2.5 or 1.5, just under the 1.5 seam allowance. So you do need to be careful to make sure you've got the right seam allowance for depending on which thing you're making. That's that one. And that is called the Brasov wrap top.
Brasov.
Yeah, so, and I will be making more of these. It's quite easy to make, quick and easy to make. So that's that one. My next obsessive piece is this. Now, I know I've got loads of patterns that I could convert into this. And to be honest, I've made lots of cami tops, but I've not made stretch ones like these, sort of a vest, because the straps have always put me off. I'm kind of a bit like, well, they look really fiddly. So if you follow us on Instagram, you'll have seen my revelation of the sort of the fold over elastic, which is what this pattern asks you to use. I've never used it before. I don't know why, but I definitely will be using it again. So I've actually made 3 of these. One of them's still upstairs. So this one, which again was on Instagram. So this fabric is cotton jersey, this one. And then it's a plain back, which is more of a lycra jersey. These fabrics were from Stitchy Bee quite a while ago. I remember you.
Have you made something else with that bee fabric as well?
Jersey dress, yeah. And this has just got black fold over elastic.
So when you say fold over elastic, is it just a flat piece of elastic and then you fold it over?
Yeah.
That's exactly how you would make if you were making, for example, the Carolyn pajama shorts or pajama bottoms, and you used elastic for the waistband.
Well, you could, but this is specific fold over elastic. It actually comes, it's got a line down the middle to enable you to fold it over. And I don't know how much you can see there. So it is just like normal elastic with a line to the middle. The inside's shinier. I've chosen the matte side. You can see on this one, it matches. It looks like it's been kind of made from the jersey, but it is completely separate elastic. And I bought this from my favorite online retailer, and I think I bought 15 different colors for about £11. I thought, I'm never going to use all of that, but actually, because it's my latest obsession, I probably will end up using all the colors, because sometimes it's nice to contrast as well. I have to say, it is actually incredibly easy to put on. It looks really complicated. It's really not. It's like bias binding in the fact that you sew the wrong sides first and then fold it over to the front, and you can either use a zigzag or I've used a stretch stitch. And because it's folded over and quite solid, you then just almost top stitch around everywhere else. So again, half an hour. And if you, like with my other one, if you want to use up some of your scraps, you don't have to. This is all red from something else I'd made and had it left over. You don't have to use the same fabric either side. So I really like that. They're really comfortable to wear. I would wear them and under tops that might be a bit gapey. I'd probably wear that in the garden in the summer. I don't think I'd wear it out and about. I have been wearing it under this, which I'll get to next, and then taking this off when I go to bed so you don't get too hot. So I'll wear that as a pajama top as well. So really quick and easy. Really, really like that one. Nearly there. Next one. Itch to stitch.
I didn't realise you bought so many of the same.
This is half of the stuff I bought from there. But I'm obviously not going to go through a day because I need something for next time. So these are the Pine Cove pajamas. So I've got the top here, And it's basically, the pajama bottoms are your bulk standard elasticated waist straight pajama bottoms. This is obviously a wrap over, really nice instructions. I've made this from brushed cotton flannel type of fabric.
I like that fabric.
Well, this I think I got it from eBay, and I ordered 3 meters to make my son 2 pairs of pajama bottoms. They didn't have the one I wanted, so they went, can we send you another one and we'll give you a bit more? And I was like, it's pajama bottoms, that's fine. That went missing, which I think I touched on last time, stuff just disappearing in the post, never turning up. So I said, it's not here. So they resent it to me, and I think for the inconvenience, I ended up with about 4.5 meters. So I thought I could get 2 pajama bottoms for my son, that I'd be left with an odd amount, or I could use it as a usable toile for these, which is what I did in the end. But yeah, I actually really like it. It's, again, really, really easy to make. The one thing that I would do differently is the pattern tells you to cut out 4 of the ties, because the other 2 ties are inside on there. But if you make it in this type of fabric, you can see it's quite bulky, and it adds a bit of bulk there when you're wearing it. So I think in the future, I would do this in ribbon and then just have the 2 matching ties there. But everything else, and again, you can kind of see it's got a nice high neck, and it lays really flat as well, and it's just really, really comfortable, and you could make it out of anything. So silk.
Well, I was just about to say to you, I was sitting here thinking, that would make a really nice silk, almost like a dressing gowny type top.
Exactly, because you could elongate it as well, and you could do the contrast round here. I think would look really nice, and you can maybe put a bit of contrast on the pajama bottoms as well. You could use a cotton lawn as well, I think, you know, and do it with shorts or a short sleeved version for the summer. Really, really nice. So that was the last thing I've made from Itch to Stitch. One more thing. The dog got really excited when I got this out. I felt really mean, because I'm like, you're not taking him anywhere. It's a dog coat, little dog coat. Oh. So this pattern is from Closet Core Patterns, and it's a free pattern. And the pattern is basically, if I can show you, so doggo's head goes there. This is the back, and it's got some darts to sort of fit it just over the bum bit, which is really useful. Head goes through there. That's under the legs, and then basically Velcro across the top. I've actually put a buttonhole in because my dog wears a harness. She just pulls for England, so I have to have a harness on her. But again, relatively easy to make. The instructions in the pattern are for it to be lined and padded. This is pre-quilted lining, and again, it's in a sort of a brushed cotton fabric. Can't talk. The only thing that I struggle with this is doing the bias binding around here, because it's all curved and shaped, and if you've got quite thick bias binding like I have here, it all puckers and it doesn't go around here that well. So if I make another one of these, I might actually try the fold over elastic, because it's thinner.
That's a good idea.
Flexible. Yeah, and I think that'd just be a lot easier. So those are my makes. There you go.
Very nice.
Yeah.
So I've gone back to having a bit of a silk obsession, as Jane nodded to earlier. So actually, what I haven't got out, but it is on our Instagram, is I made a, so I've got the silk here. So basically I started off by thinking that I quite fancied a graphite sort of grey, which is this colour, and I'm not sure how it's coming up on the camera, but I fancied a graphite grey night dress. And I've had my eye on some organic bamboo or vegan bamboo organic silk from Raystitch for a while, and I don't know why I've been looking at it on and off probably for about 6 months, and then just forgotten about it and then gone back to it again. So I thought, right, no, I'm going to buy some. So I bought some and I made a nightdress out of it. I used the pattern that's the cami top. So it's got a racer back. And what I did, so Jane and I, we made tons of these vest tops out of it for the summer in the past. And actually I showed a couple of videos back that I'd made, which was out of the yellow Nanny Aero fabric. So I used that same pattern, but I made the straps, whereas normally I make the straps quite thin, I made the straps a bit thicker. So I think they were probably almost like an inch wide, and they just gave the thing a completely different look. They just made it look a bit more, I don't know what you'd call it. It looked nicer, I thought. So I made that and I was like, oh, I really like the fabric. It's really nice to work with. So I then ordered, I managed to get the nightdress out of maybe 1.5 meters actually. It's a long nightdress, maybe 1.5 meters, maybe 2 meters. And then I went a bit mad and ordered another 2 meters of the graphite grey. I ordered 1 meter of black, and I ordered 1 meter of white, 1 meter of green, which is on the dummy. So I just went a bit crazy with it. So as you can see, I've got one on that I made last weekend, and I think I made this last weekend as well. I think I went a bit mad and made both of them, and then almost made some others as well, made myself stop. I also made a Cami Vest top of this as well. So I've now got the graphite grey nightdress, vest top, and this sort of like batwing t-shirt. And you can see on here, it's just like a t-shirt. Now what I made it out of, because I had made my own batwing t-shirt pattern before out of I'd got a batwing t-shirt that I had from Whistles, and I sort of flattened it out and drew a pattern from it. But I must admit, it was a bit hit and miss as to whether it went okay, probably depending on how I cut it out. And so what I did was I took the array dress stroke top pattern from Paper Cut Patterns, and I actually just used the front and back pieces. I didn't add any arms on, but what I did is I added probably, with a thread there, I added probably about that much onto the pattern and just took it out a little bit along the arm seam, and you can see it's got this sort of like wing effect. So I'm really, really pleased. It is a pattern that I will just go to time and time again, because I like wearing things like this. I love wearing silk. I just think, a silk t-shirt is probably cost me about 18 quid, I think, in fabric. You wouldn't be able to buy a silk t-shirt for that in the shops, and I can just make it however I like. So what I've done with them as well, and I don't know if you can see, oh no, you can't see when I do that, I've sort of turned what I like about these as well is I don't put any interfacing on or anything. Lining, Jane, what is it? Interfacing. Facing. I knew I'd said it wrong. I don't put any facing on. I just turn, that's probably better to show you that actually. I turn it over twice and then just sew around it, and it just is really easy. Now what I did with this one is I've added a couple of little bits on here because you end up with a bit of a seam here, but I'm not sure if I like them or not. I haven't got it on the green one. The green one looks fine. I'm not sure, but I just thought I'd do it for something a bit different. So that's what I've been.
It looks like you've used bias binding, because you're turning on the outside, haven't you?
Yeah, because on the top I've got from Whistles, the one I originally used. And I remember asking you, do you remember years ago? And I said, I really like this t-shirt. I want to make my own versions. And I remember you saying to me, oh right, so what they've done is they've done the collars and the seams and everything, and then they've joined it all together afterwards.
Yeah.
So I quite like that. I'm not very good with doing binding, and I'll show you in a minute on something else that I've made. I don't know what happens. I stay stitch it, and it's still a bit hit and miss every time I make something. So that's my silk obsession, which is still ongoing.
Is that easier to look after, as in, would you say that's easier to sew and wash versus, when I say proper silk, I don't mean proper silk, but is it
I've got other silk which is proper silk, and I chuck it all in the washing machine. I have always just put it in the washing machine. And same with this has been, I mean, I've probably washed this. I washed the fabric when I got it, and I've washed the fabric since I've had it, and it comes out fine. I just put it on a 30-degree wash. I don't do anything special with it, so it seems fine to me. And also that other fabric that I was showing with the that we talked about in our last video on our favorite makes, that I made the kimono out of with the giraffes, that is like, that was £40 a metre silk, and I just put it in the washing machine. I honestly, I don't do anything special with it, because when I first get fabric, I wash it thinking, right, I need to know that I can just wash this normally and not mess about with it. So obviously if I wash it before I make anything, it's stuffed and I don't make anything with it. But my view is, well, you wash it first of all, it's the same, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, it's nice to work with. It's not too slidey or anything, so it's good. It's good on the sewing machine. Doesn't go all over the place. It irons very well and very flat. So if you do want to do things with it, it's quite forgiving in that respect. So now the thing that I made that has not gone so well. Let me tell you about the pattern first of all. So I bought a pattern last week from a pattern company that I've not heard of. One, I'm not sure, Jane, if you had either, called
No, I haven't.
Paper Theory, and this is called the Kabuki tee, and Paper Theory, they seem to have, I think I found them on Instagram, they only have probably 4 or 5 patterns, and I think they're just a small, they're a small company starting out. So this was just, print at home, PDF. And as you can see, I'm not sure if you can see properly on here, it's just a different take on a t-shirt. It's got these square arm bits and just a bit of detail there. Really simple to make. I bought from Raystitch, I bought some chambray, you can see here, and I didn't have enough to finish the arms, so I made the arms just out of this white fabric, but I don't like it. I don't like the arms. Reminds me a bit of a pregnancy top. So I bought another, when I bought my next lot of silk, I bought another ½ metre of chambray. So what I need to do is unpick these arms and put the chambray ones on. I'm still not that convinced that my buying of the chambray for the pattern is going to be money well spent. But it's a good pattern. I'm not sure. I think sometimes it's just to do with the fabric's lovely, but it's not the right pattern for the fabric, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
So that's what I've been doing. I feel like I've been sewing much more than that, but I don't know what. I think I have made quite a few bits and pieces, but I feel I've done more. But I've had sort of like, over the last couple of weekends, I've had sort of phases of actually being in here for a few hours at a time and just doing stuff, which has been quite nice. But as you said at the beginning, work is I'm not sure if it's happened, if it's like it for other people out there watching this video, but instead of lockdown making and COVID making things a bit quieter, they've just gone bonkers. And I was saying to somebody the other day, we're not even traveling into the office at the moment, and there's not enough hours in the day. So I'm not actually sure how before we found time to travel into the office.
I know.
So yeah, work has just taken over. But so what are your plans for next week? What are you making?
Well, I've bought, it's not here yet, so I'll need to show that next week. So to carry on fueling my cami top obsessions, I've bought some remnants, quite a few remnants of lycra and cotton jersey, So I bought a few of those from Sew Over It and Sherwoods fabrics as well.
They had a sale, didn't they, again?
Yes. Yeah.
I saw.
Yes, so I have bought some from there, and then I've also bought some fabric. I've got another itch to stitch top, which is jersey top with pleated sleeves and high cuffs. Now I've got quite a few patterns that I could hack to make that, but you know,
why do that when you can buy a new one?
Exactly. So I will be making one of those when the fabric comes. I've also bought an itch to stitch like gilet pattern. It's not really a gilet actually. It's kind of like a coat but without sleeves. So it's got a hood, it's got the pockets and everything, and the zip up, which the pattern I don't think is lined, but I've got quite a lot of this specifically to use as ready-made. I'm not going to say lining, and it's not
padding.
No, it's brain has just died. So it's where you sew it to your outer fabric, whereas lining, you normally make the outer fabric and then make the lining and put the two together. With this, you sort of stitch it to your outer fabric and then just make one thing. I can't remember. Interlining, that's what it's called. So with a view of interlining the two coats. So before I mentioned the Simplicity coat, which I haven't made, mainly because it needed a load of notions. And I kid you not, by the time I bought all of these notions, they were like £40. So it's getting on for, it's one of those things that sometimes when you sew and people who don't sew go, oh, it must be great, you make all your own clothes and it must be a lot cheaper. And you go, no, it's really not. Most of the time it turns out twice as expensive, and I could have made, you know, gone to the shops, and if we were allowed out, could have gone somewhere and bought a really nice coat for half the price. I think this coat's going to end up like one of those. So I've had to buy a load of things to start making the long Simplicity coat with a detachable hood. And then I also had some fabric, and I've used this to also interline that one, even though it's not lined, it should work out fine. So I'm hoping to make at least one of the coats. Now I've got everything to make them, and the jumper, and there will be loads more vest tops. I have also bought, and this is definitely your fault, so because we've now got a shop on Etsy, it's a joint shop. If one of us goes on there and does some searching, when the other one goes on, shows the search history. So someone was on there looking for silk, and loads of sort of designer fabric came up. So I then went on there and I was like, oh, I still haven't made my bag, and I'm still debating on what fabric to make my bag in. So what shall I do? Now they've got on there lots of I don't want to use the word fake, but
yeah, I saw it. Actually, do you know what? I thought you'd been looking at that.
No, it
Well,
must
I'm not sure you can blame me, because I'm sure you looked at that, because I remember thinking the same. She's been looking at fabric that's very similar to a very nice designer.
Yes. So I've bought a couple. So, and they're coming from America. Who knows when they're going to turn up? So I'm waiting for those fabrics. I've only ordered half a yard because it really is quite expensive, and I should only need, I hope, half a yard for the pattern, for the bag pattern. So I will be showing the fabric if that turns up next time, and that is still very much on my plan to make the bag at some point.
Good. Well, I think what I will be doing is making some silk t-shirts. I'll be making some more t-shirts. I'll be sorting out this chambray top. My husband, every time I'm up here making something, he's like, or I'll come down, I go, what do you think? Do you like this? And he's like, what, more tops? I'm like, yes. So he actually commented the other day again. Do you remember, Jane, in the summer I brought round a piece of car, a fiberglass thing from his car? Do you remember?
Yeah.
So he said, why are you not making that piece for my car? Or why are you not making a hood for my car? So he's got this little vintage sports car, and it's a convertible, and he wants me to make a whole new hood out of leather and a front, like whatever you call it, and the driving console is like a bit that goes across, that out of leather as well. And I'm like, I really think you've got the wrong person. So I did say you need to really talk to Jane about it. She'll do it. Hang on,
this is what you're making, not what I'm making.
I'm not making it. You're going to have to make it for me. I can't make something like that. I think he thinks I'm some sort of proper professional interior classic car person. He knows what I'm like. He knows I've got no patience, and he knows that
you're allergic to a measuring tape.
Exactly. And I was laughing earlier when you were saying about your first itch to. What were you saying about the seam allowances on one of the itch to stitch?
You have to really search for them in the instructions, because they're not apparent. You have to really, really look to find out what they are.
I was laughing because I was thinking, I always thought seam allowance were always 1 centimetre, so I don't ever look at what it says. So I definitely should not be trusted with making anything for a car.
Oh, I think you should. I think that would be so funny. It'd be a test of your marriage at the end of it.
No. So yeah, so I'm going to be, I don't know, doing stuff like that, and might have a go. We might have a go, actually, mightn't we, at doing some cushions maybe?
Yes.
That's on the agenda as well. We were talking about looking at doing something a bit different and making some almost like 3D-ish cushions with some animals on. So we've had a big long list of animals, and just looking at using scraps of different types of fabric, different textures and things, and making animals out of it and putting it on a cushion. So we might have that to show next time. I think I might have a go of that tomorrow. Lots to do.
That doesn't need a seam allowance, so you'll be fine.
No, that's true. The cushion might need a seam allowance, mightn't it?
A seam allowance is a guide. They're just a guide.
No, but I always think they are. I sort of don't really take much notice of it. Anyway, watch that one, not me. Because I do make it up as I go along. And there's nothing wrong with that.
There isn't. There isn't. I wouldn't want to restrain your creativity with a mere thing of a proper seam allowance. I wouldn't dream of Ashley.
Rules are there to be broken. So yeah, so we will be back with our creations soon. So yes. If there is anything you particularly want to see, especially our ladies that always watch us, if you want to see anything we might have posted on Instagram in the past, or if you want us to, if you want Jane to demonstrate any sewing techniques, please let us know in the comments as always.
Yeah, if you want to challenge Ashley to make anything, stretch her creativity away from the silk t-shirt, please comment below. As always, if you've liked our videos, please give us a thumbs up, and if you'd like to subscribe, that would be lovely, and hit the notification bell that should be around here somewhere, so you don't miss our next one. It's been a couple of weeks, but we are still trying to get these out weekly. It is really difficult because obviously we are still in lockdown in the UK. Really don't know when that's going to be lifted, so it is harder when we can't do it in the same location basically, but we will continue to do these, so please bear with us while we're sorting out. There's nothing more we can do, quite honestly, at the moment.
I don't think we can sort out the whole of COVID.
No, we can't fix the country, unfortunately. So yeah, thank you very much for joining us, for dropping by. It's lovely to see everybody again. And like I say, I'm hoping we're not going to be leaving it for a couple of weeks, hoping that we'll post something next week.
Thanks for watching.